Please.
Okay.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. We'd like to welcome everybody to the Board of Trust Fund Commissioners. Today is Thursday, September 11th, 2025. It is at 12:45 p.m. We're holding our meeting this afternoon because we have guests, and it's also convenient, as Richard and I had discussed, to bring people in that need to during the regular course of business, during the business day, without influencing any additional overtime or expense that would come with that. So if I could just read our legal preamble. In accordance with the requirements of the open meeting law, please be advised that this meeting is being recorded and broadcast live over Lunenburg Public Access Channel on Facebook Live on the Public Access Facebook page. And it will be uploaded to Lunenburg Access YouTube after the meeting. Additionally, please be advised that the Town of Lunenburg utilizes the Zoom platform as host for its hybrid and remote meetings, that the Zoom platform utilizes AI technology known as AI Companion to create audio transcriptions of meetings to aid in the subsequent preparation of meeting minutes, and that AI Companion is activated immediately upon launching the Zoom application. You are hereby notified that this AI technology may capture audio prior to the start of the meeting and or following the conclusion of the meeting. That's known as a hot mic, so people please be cognizant of that. I'm just going to quickly check on the Zoom platform to see if anybody's here that wants to get in. Nope. Okay, so for now, nobody's here. So just to follow up with that. Okay. All right, continue. This meeting will be held in person at the location provided on this notice, which is Town Hall, the Bellotta Meeting Room. Members of the public are welcome to attend this in-person meeting. Please note that while an option for remote attendance and or participation is provided as a courtesy to the public, the meeting will not be suspended or terminated if technological problems interrupt the virtual broadcast unless otherwise required by law. Members of the public with particular interest in any specific item on this agenda should make plans for in-person versus virtual attendance accordingly. The following information is also provided for members of the public that would like to participate in this meeting remotely via telephone. To participate remotely from a computer, you can use the link that we have on our agenda, which is posted to lunenburgma.gov under Agenda Center, under Trust Fund Commission. I will read that number out to you. You could join at number 766-316-7607. Or if you prefer from a telephone, you can dial the toll-free number of 888-475-4499, and you can enter the number 766-316-7607 #. Now, if you have not registered to Zoom, you'll just be asked for a name and email address in the event that you join Zoom via computer. There is no participant ID needed by phone, just press pound. And you can do *9 to request to speak after you join the meeting during public comment. The computer app users may use the raise the hand feature, which is at the bottom bar on the window. The agenda will list all topics which will be discussed at the meeting, those reasonably anticipated by the chairman. Votes may be taken as a result of these discussions, but not all items listed here may in fact be discussed, and other items not listed here may be brought up for discussion to the extent that is permitted by the open meeting law. If I may, I would like to call this meeting to order, and if we could open it with the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. At this time, I would like to open the meeting to public comment. I'd like to know if there's any public comment by the public. I do not see anybody on Zoom at this time. bear with me. No. Okay. Okay, I don't see anybody here on Zoom. Do I have any public comment from the board? Does the board have any public comment, Richard?
I have no public comment.
I do have a public comment today. If you just bear with me. And if you want to follow along, it's in the public statements file. I'd like to open up today by saying that today marks a day of a great tragedy in America. However, that tragedy has been a beacon of our resilience as one nation under God. I believe today marks the turning point of a stark reality of the condition of our people as a nation. I want to begin by having a moment of silence, if we may, to recognize the loss of life which happened on this day, caused by the actions of those who hate America and our way of life. In particular, I would like everyone in their silence to remember our local families who have been impacted by this tragedy, the Sozik family in particular, and that we remember all those families throughout the country and those who were of foreign country who died and lost, and their families who lost those loved ones on this day. If we could just stand up and have a moment of silence, please. And if we could remain standing, I would also like to hold a moment of silence to recognize the loss of a great man, Charlie Kirk, an inspirational leader and orator, a lover of faith and country, who is a stellar example of faith, love, and hope, particularly in the eyes of the youth in our country. Charlie Kirk, the founder of Turning Point USA, held the hearts of many, and he approached everyone with balance and respect. He was a polarizing figure that inspired many young Americans to engage in politics and peaceful discourse, and created a safe space on campuses where differing opinions, individual thoughts, and experience were shared freely and openly, providing many to engage in a peaceful exchange without yelling and screaming, lighting cars on fire, smashing windows of businesses, engaging in other illicit activity, disrupting the good order for which America has always been the leader in the world as an example by its people of good order. If we could just have a moment of silence, please. Thank you. Sadly, good order and prudence in relation to this good order is unfortunately not what we have today. I recently spoke about prudence before the Select Board with regard to a political action by the Democrat Town Committee, pushing their ideologies as a party on the people of Lunenburg. I support the First Amendment, in particular free speech, but I believe in leaving ideological support actions to the individual groups and nonprofits, not the political parties. Clearly, I'm not wrong with raising this matter about exercising prudence when it does come to politics. Ideologies and indoctrinations have no place in politics or within our local government. Unfortunately, this is not what has been happening in America or in Lunenburg, for that matter, today. I am not speaking about oppression of any viewpoint. I know what oppression is firsthand. I live it. I also know what it means to be American, and probably more than most. I ran for office in this town for a couple of reasons. The first reason was that I can. The second reason was because I believe it is civic duty. The third reason is to show my children and others that no matter what your background, your history, where you came from, whether you are rich, poor, gay, straight, male, female, the one thing America is to an American, that no matter what the hurdle you are up against, free enterprise and capitalism under a constitution for the people, by the people, you can never lose your opportunity to have the American dream. I want to share a personal example of my above statement. I saw firsthand how people act while I campaigned in this town. None of those things stopped me from pursuing what I see as a need to benefit the community which I live with my family. This is the example of being American. I look at the work that Richard and I Rich and I have done here for the community. This is the example. However, during my campaign, I had an individual in town, specifically a person who is a discharged U.S. Marine, mind you, with a blemished public record, okay, who was discharged as a U.S. Marine, okay, and I find this to be something that is calling the kettle black. She, though, thought it good to make a threat against me and my family, posting images of my family on Facebook, posting my son's school schedule, and making a comment about how she could hide in my barn, wait for us, drag us 200 feet into a cemetery, but she promised her therapist that she wouldn't do that. This was a video posted to a local Facebook page. What did the government do? Well, the police investigated, saw it fit to bring charges, but the district attorney's office ignored their request. To be honest, this behavior actually warrants a reactivation of this soldier in a dishonorable discharge according to the Uniform Code of Military Conduct, which is promulgated, okay, via the United States Navy. Is this, though, a form of oppression? Most certainly. At its best, these actions were clearly ignored because it was me and my family. But where is the outrage? Well, I'm not seeking it. I am an American. I am free to live and do whatever I want. I can abide in the law or break the law as long as I'm willing to accept the consequences of my own personal actions, for my Constitution and our Constitution we share demands that. This is oppression that worked against my family. Fortunately for me, I can say with certainty that I wouldn't recommend anyone coming to my property to do harm. That would not be reasonable on that person's part. My home is open to anyone. You know where I live. Feel free to stop in. I have no problem with people coming to my home. People come to my home all the time. Strangers come to my home all the time. Fortunately, though, I just want to say for me, and I can say with certainty that it was a teaching opportunity for my son. He was with me, my campaign, held signs, watched people drive by and yell, obscenities, give the finger to us. And I said, see, that's the First Amendment at work. I told my son his choice to seek a congressional nomination toward acceptance to the United States Naval Academy enlistment in the United States Marine Corps. He will defend the people's right to have that exact speech. And I'm proud to put myself out here to educate my son while he pursues his choice to become a United States Marine. I also want to mention the issue we have of people not running for elections in town. Our board is missing a member, okay? Why do you not volunteer your time? Recently, your select board, at the request of the town manager, had highlighted to get rid of the personnel committee. This committee was designed to protect from hiring a political appointee, hiring friends, colleagues, or anything like that, but mostly it is there to protect a person from becoming an employee who would have to do what their employer requested, not what the personnel committee decided was their duty as an employee. This is not good. This is full executive control without citizen oversight. This is not democracy at this point. This is socialism through bureaucracy. Lastly, I am a Republican. I vote Republican. I've always voted Republican. I'm a hard party line voter, even when I disagree with the candidate, because I vote the message, not the man. I use this statement in my campaign, that you should vote not the man, but what is the man's deal to take care of the people whom he cohabitates in America. This weekend, I'd like to make note, as an announcement, Massachusetts GOP will be hosting its annual Unity Rally in concert in Worcester at Off the Rails Restaurant next to the DCU Center from 1 to 3 p.m. on 90 Commercial Street. I encourage all young Republicans and others to attend. The line up of people who will be present is lengthy. I'm not going to go through it. This is also an opportunity, even if you are a Democrat on the fence, maybe a Democrat and want to know what is a Republican, or maybe you're an unenrolled voter and you want more information, you should make plans to attend this particular event. What I'm doing here is actually what the Republican Town Committee should be telling you via the Select Board. But they're MIA this year, as in past years. I have noticed, so today I'm doing it. In closing, I want everyone to understand we are all one people under one flag. We are all members of a country of laws, the law of the people being the first. Every state, their individual constitutions in the beginning, before the federal government and the Supremacy Clause, always had laws protecting and requiring the worship of a creator. The last few lines in the Declaration of Independence itself is actually a prayer, unfortunately, as a foundation of faith, hope, and love, which we were founded upon, we have moved away from. That to our own detriment, and what you have today is clearly what you have because we have been slowly destroying what we built as a nation way of life that has always worked for hundreds of years. Please keep this thought every time you speak, every time you go to the ballot box, or you stand in protest of something, exercising that right to be able to disagree. Let's all together continue to make America great again, regardless of belief or political affiliation. If we recognize the oneness that makes us a people great, only then will positive discourse begin and the healing process begin to happen. Recognize today the troubles and do not participate in the collapse of our great nation. And I just want to highlight, Lee Greenwood says it best in the first two stanzas of his song. If tomorrow all the things were gone, I'd work for all my life. And had I had to start again with just my children and my wife, powerful. I thank my lucky stars to be living here today because the flag still stands for freedom and they can't take that away. And I'm proud to be an American where at least I know I'm free and I won't forget the men who died who gave that right to me. And I'd gladly stand up next to you and defend here still today because there ain't no doubt I love this land and God bless the USA. And that does not say you're this party or that party, you're this group or that group. That says that you are an American and should God bless America. And that's my public comment for today. Thank you. Now I have to get back to business. Okay, so today, I'd just like to see if there's any announcements and communications from any trust representatives. We don't have any. Our regularly scheduled meetings are usually every second and fourth Thursday. Today, we have here a Treasurer and Finance Director report. We don't have a Finance Director here, but we do have our Treasurer here, and we also have representatives from Bartholomew and Company, and you'll have to forgive me for being about 10 minutes late and being able to call to order your meeting, but I hope you can understand that we're trying to fill an additional slot here so we have an extra voice, and we can't get an extra slot till people realize that be a part of this, so that you can be a part of what you're going to explain to us to make our community better. So with that, I would like to open it up just to Richard offhand, if Richard has anything that he would like to say or an opening that he would like to give prior to your presentation. Then I would like to invite you up to be able to take some questions from the both of us.
I have nothing to add.
Nothing? Okay. What I'd like to do is I'd like to just ask Mylene, if I can, just to come up real quickly. Mylene is our treasurer, if she's able to.
I don't think she's planning on giving a report to this commission today. I think that the folks from Bartholomew are here to present a report, not the treasurer.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting the treasurer to give a report. I was asking the treasurer to be here today.
She's here.
Yeah, to be able to give the commission a little bit of information and insight on her relationship with Bartholomew and Company and how that, how that works.
So Bartholomew and Company is here to present. I'd ask that you initially at least try to direct your questions through Bartholomew.
Sure, that's fine. That's fine. Richard, do you have anything that you'd like to add?
Nope, no. We had prepared a list of questions. I believe you have that. It was on the.
We did. We did
Yeah.
prepare a list of questions that we presented.
Okay.
I'd like to invite Bartholomew and Company, if you could come forward, well,
Is it okay if we sit here just so we can lay
Yeah,
out, or do you
I
prefer,
figured you'd
where do you
have-
prefer us?
sure.
We'll go wherever you want, but,
No, that's fine. That's
okay.
Right where
I
you
assume you want us to be on the speaker too.
Yeah, you should both, yeah, I think when the green light's on.
Green light, we're good.
Sure, I would like to start by saying that we had listed a list of questions and concerns that we had with regard to investments and so on and so forth, and how that actually affects the entire overall pool
Yes.
fund, and how what one group does affects another group, and that's basically, what we're looking at, that if one group is mismanaging, how that affects the interest that applies to all the groups, and as well as, some additional information with regard to the questionnaire itself, specific investments, how it's invested, the choice in those investments, and how those things occurred.
Absolutely. And thank you. Sorry, I got to get used to my voice there. Well, thank you. And the town did forward us the list of questions you both have, or the board had. First of all, let's do an introduction. We did get the list of questions. It may take 1 or 2 meetings to go through all that, but I think after today, you'll get a good sense of a lot of those questions. I think we should be able to address most of them, if not all. Okay?
Yeah, no, that's fine. And, if you both want to introduce yourself,
Sure.
that'd be great.
We'll give you the update, or the 10-second view. So first of all, my name is Brian Gemros. I'm one of the municipal institution advisors on the road. I have Kathleen oh my goodness, she's been married a year, forgive me. Kathleen Saganowitz, also a municipal institutional advisor. Our company, just to give you the 30-second elevator pitch so you know who we are, we're essentially located out of Worcester, Massachusetts. We're about $5.4 billion assets under management as a firm. As of June 30th, $3.2 billion in assets, and we deal with over 330 municipal entities in Massachusetts, primarily in Massachusetts. We may have, one in New Hampshire, 3, 4 in Maine, and 1 in Rhode Island, but for the majority of them are in Massachusetts. We've always had 2 former municipal employees on staff up until recent, so now we have 1, but we always fact-check everything we have with that municipal employee. I think that's why we've been so successful understanding municipal law, the ins and outs of it. And we've been able to be a resource to the towns and boards like this. So please, we work for the town, we work for you, just bear that in mind. We're a great resource, okay? We've been working with the town since 2005 in various funds, which includes, OPEB funds, not necessarily from that time, but just funds include, OPEB funds, stabilization funds, cemetery perpetual care, trust funds like yours, okay? That's the kind of the highlight. What I thought I would do to dig into this is give you a little background of how we operate with the treasurer, and I'm going to do some handouts here.
I can do it.
Okay. Actually, that's not good. I'll just do I better keep a handout, right? That helps. And I know your board or your committee has been pretty much vacant since 2019, is my understanding.
Longer than that, a little longer than that. I mean, it did some things the years before that, but prior to that, I mean, it was totally there's really no record that I haven't, been able to find, unless I start researching a lot of the paper records. But as far as the last time that this board did anything was 2019, but before that, they did distribute some money in 2017 from the Worthy Poor Fund. So,
Okay, so
just to kind of give you an idea.
That helps.
There was a lot of confusion, and we're trying to iron it all out and make sure that it operates and functions as it's supposed to. And that's been our goal as a commission, just so that you understand. And we know that you've been enlisted as the private trust company, the handling of the money that just belongs to us, but is us as part of a pool. So we want to be able to do the best that we can do for the people who are beneficiaries to our funds, by working with you and getting a better understanding on, how we can all do better. you know what I mean, with interest rates, interest rate increases and so on and so forth based on market demand and share and things like that, and how, you know, we can increase the amount of money over a period of time in our funds to be able to distribute more money to people in need. We handle a lot of the need, do you know what I mean? So they're mostly, you know, bequests or, you know, trusts specifically given as gifts. So we want to be able to make sure that those funds continue in perpetuity through 203C, which we're now allowed to do and not limited to the 20 or so funds that we were limited to before.
Correct.
And so this is the goal of this commission with regard to the funds which come under our purview. But like I had said in the beginning, I'd like you to focus on, with us, clearly the main concern we have is when another fund acts, how does that impact the interest which affects us? Because as a pooled member, we kind of all have to be getting on the same page. And this is what I want to make sure, that everybody's on the same page with distribution, the cause of penalties, you know what I mean, and proper financial management. And this is what we're looking for. That's why that list of questions and our risk management and best practices policy we submitted. Did you get a copy of that?
Yes, I did.
Yeah,
Thank you.
that's, you know, these are something that, you know, we had looked at in detail, you know, but a lot of that falls on your company. You know, when it comes to risk management and best practices, we're just showing that in town. What we want to look at to make sure that not you're doing your job or that the treasurer is doing her job, we want to make sure that we're acting in the right way and have the right advice to be able to advance the direction to keep our funds growing in perpetuity.
Absolutely. I got all that.
I know.
Thank you.
Sorry.
No,
That's
don't worry.
public record.
No, this is good. This is good. So thank you. So what I put in your hands right as of now is what we have. This is an additional service that we provide. This is part of the reason why we're the predominant player in the municipal space is an accounting report. This is GASB approved. This both gives, the first handout I gave you was there. I'll just give you a little background of this report. This report comes out either quarterly or monthly to the treasurer's office. Forgive me, actually, I think it's monthly, I apologize. Each one's different, so, but it's either quarterly or monthly. This report, this accounting report of all the pooled funds comes together and gets submitted to the treasurer and the finance director and gives you a complete breakdown. Now, this is GASB, this is only a accounting report, this is not a performance report.
No.
This is on current holdings, not past holdings or something that's been sold. So this is a tool that's given to the Treasurer's Office and Finance Committee, or Finance team, excuse me, not the committee, to give the breakdown of cash value, market value, what the earnings are, what the realized gains and loss are. The net income would be the interest and dividends earned net of fees. The fees are very transparent on the statement that they balance to. When I say they, the treasurer's office would balance to, so it's very transparent. It's a management fee. Management fee covers 100% of all fees. There's no additional custodial fees, trading fees, broker fees, rebalancing fees, account report fees. There's none of that. It's an all-in-one.
Is that the 0.2%?
Is that what, I'm
Is
sorry?
that the 0.2% in your contract?
I'll give you the fee in a minute. I have to look at that. Actually, I have it right here. Give me a minute.
And is that based on the overall investment of all the funds for which you have control of the town, or only on this pool?
Yeah, so let me explain that. So, you know, we have a sliding scale starting at 60 basis points. 1% equals 100 basis points. 60 basis points is, you know, 60% of 1%. So that's where we start, and it goes all the way down to 12 basis points. Now, all of the town's funds, or anything in the zip code, if you will, are aggregated together for a management fee. And depending on the assets under management for that particular quarter, that's what the fee is for the next 3 months, divided out. Okay, obviously, what I'm giving you is an annual fee. Your annual fee right now, based on the last quarter's total assets under management, was 0.35.
I think the Budget Task Force, I think it was the same number, 0.35 last year in August as well, if I'm not mistaken, correct?
I don't have that in front of me, but I could
Yeah.
could pull it up
Okay.
on the computer if that's important to you. But that is, so it's based on a sliding scale. I can give you a copy of the sliding scale in a minute if you like.
Yeah, that'd be
Rob,
fine.
Actually, let me see if I have one paper format. If not, I'll email it to you, okay? Or email it to, give me a minute.
So you don't have things broken up like, so you have OPEB gets charged under OPEB, if you're managing OPEB, and trust funds get charged under trust funds. You're not like charging each one individually in the pool, like by separation. You're charging 100% overall, the total value for the town.
So let me explain that. I don't have one in front of me. I'll get one.
That's fine.
Though, to you, the sliding scale fee schedule. But how that works is each account, so aggregate, you have enough money to get the 0.35, okay? Every account gets its share portion of that fee based on the assets under management.
Okay.
So
So
in your
it's
case-
based on the dollar value, based on the 60 basis points of 1% of the total percentage that qualified us for the 0.35 overall. Is that correct?
No 60 basis points, get rid of that. That was just the start.
Oh, that would, okay.
I apologize. 35 is where you're at.
Okay.
60 was the start if you had under $2 million.
Oh, okay. So we're at
You have more than-
0.35 in a qualifier. Okay,
You're a
because of the volume
qualifier.
the volume of money that you're trading.
Exactly.
Okay,
Your
so that's fine.
assets under management dictate the lower fees.
Okay, so each group in the pool then itself would be basically be divided to have an individual fee based on the amount of money that's being traded through the individual pools or the individual funds. So like, this is a pool. Does the whole pool pay one fee based on the volume of money, based on the 0.35?
Yeah, so let me explain it too. So across the board, everybody gets 35 basis points no matter where it's split.
Sure.
So the portion of the portfolio that you manage is roughly as of fiscal year end '25, wow, I can't see, I need that new script, 84,636.73. See the highlighted yellow?
I do.
Those are under your domain.
Correct.
Okay, so now you take you basically take the 84,000, I'm just going to round up.
Sure.
You multiply that by the .0035, that gives you an annual fee of $294. You divide that by 4, if you kept at the same balance, it's $73 a quarter. If your balance has stayed the same. If your balance has increased
Sure.
as a town, it's going to go down to 30. The next threshold would be 30 basis points.
Okay.
And then it would be recalculated. It's recalculated every quarter to be fair, it's automatic.
Correct. Based
So-
on the market and based on, right? And you use that barometer quarterly, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so, and you should, rightfully so, because if the market's doing well,
Yep.
right, there's a benefit to the town because there's an increase in revenues. And then if the market isn't doing well, okay? Now, just a quick overshoot question, just because I really need this answered.
Yeah.
Has it been discussed about hedging for insurance in the event that the market doesn't do as well and the expenses may start to be costly to the town, that we could utilize portions of the overall interest as a hedge to be able to offset any kind of trades over the quarters? Over the year.
Yeah, so let's go through, I will answer that, if we can hold that for just a minute.
Sure. And I'm sorry, I know I went off a little track.
No, that's
there,
okay.
But that's part of the whole fee structure, is that what happens if something happens in the market, are we allowed to hedge? You know what I mean? Some of the money with you to be able to offset any kind of additional costs that may increase where we're losing, like look what happened in 2021. Do you know what I'm saying? Crash, bang, right? Nobody's recovered really. That's a municipality for the most part, completely.
Do you mean from March of 2020?
Yeah.
Yeah, it rebounded within a short period of time, actually,
Yeah.
with the municipal funds. Maybe not yours personally, or I'm not saying you personally, but personally being generic,
Yeah.
depending on how you're invested. But the cities and towns, this is a well-diversified portfolio.
Yeah.
We didn't always have prudent person rule or prudent
No.
investor 203C. The town voted it, is my understanding.
Last
at the
year.
Last fall meeting forgive me, we deal with 200, a lot of
Yeah.
municipalities, so every town meeting is different. I'm on my own finance committee, don't hold that against me, but ours is in October, so that's why I alluded to that. You just adopted that. We just changed it over from prudent investor rule, 203C, as of April of this year. Let me just give you the exact, since we're on record. 4/11 of 2025, everything just switched over. Well, the funds that could legally switch over under the law.
Right, not like OPEB or retirement funds, things like that. Those are still under the old law, which is 203D, correct? Which is
So actually, OPEB was already fallen under Chapter 203C.
with the 20, though, only.
No, so that's, here, let me give you something
Okay.
if I could. Visuals are good. I like visuals. I'm a visual
No,
learner.
that's okay. Like I said, I'm just trying to get to a point where our funds, okay, and how our funds, okay, are going to do the best, okay, but being in a pool of funds, okay, how is that going to affect? Oh, I have the bucket. It's on my.
Okay, the bucket. I
Yeah,
love
we
the
have-
bucket.
We have the bucket that we got from the Budget Task Force.
Perfect.
So we have it, and I get the whole 20, and we're in the middle and not in the left, and we're not in the right.
Okay.
You know what I mean? With regard to that, we have a full understanding of that. We've actually had a meeting on that, had discussed that. We actually played the Budget Task Force here 2 months ago in one of our meetings. We just let it play for 37 minutes, the presentation that came from your office.
Perfect. So just for a visual, and I won't go through it in detail since you've already done that, but OPEB has already fallen under Chapter 203C
Yeah.
for the most part. There's some logistics because the legislators didn't, when they readopted, or when they did the municipal update in November 7th of 2016, there was some bumps along
Yeah,
that.
right.
But
There always-
For the most part, 99% of the accounts are under Chapter 203C from inception.
Sure.
Okay? But the stabilization type accounts, let's see, stabilization falls under the legal list of the 22 companies. And then, general funds falls under its own, general funds, opera, bond proceeds.
Correct.
That's a whole separate law.
Yeah,
Okay?
we get that.
Okay, going there. Now,
Yeah, we get that.
as of-
That was an excellent presentation that your office did with the Budget Task Force.
Excellent.
Extremely clear.
Perfect.
Extremely clear, easy to follow.
Thank you for the feedback. I
You're
appreciate it. I'd tell him, but he's retired now. So. But anyways, the next step is, so at that point, we were able to take a smaller account, like an $83,000. Not that that's small. We're not saying it's small. But you can now invest that in and by itself if you needed to or wanted to, if it had a different risk strategy. Currently, it's commingled because, which it can be, it's very nicely, because it had the same 60/40 risk tolerance back on 4/11 as the other ones did. Sorry, I thought I lost that. And basically, it's the same risk strategy. So we have a 60% equity, 40% bonds.
Right.
Well-diversified portfolio. I'll have Kathleen go over a little bit more on detail of how it's invested, if you'd like.
I understand the 60/40 because in your contract, I know that you had checked off that this particular structure that we're set up on does not upkeep with inflation, as opposed to a growth and income type strategy or anything like that. So we're basically, just balancing ourselves and actually not keeping up with inflation, because I believe our annual yield is 2.54% at this time on that strategy.
Yeah, let me clarify. So first of all, that agreement was signed before Prudent Investor.
Okay.
Was
Yes,
switched
I know.
over. So that, just ignore that.
Well, okay, so it's changed.
Right, and there's a change form, but that's the original, we don't necessarily have.
Okay, I didn't get that, so.
You wouldn't, because it's an internal form, there's nothing that needs to be signed
Yeah.
by the client. There's no contract, we're a tenant at will, if you will, we're not a tenant, but, we're
Sure.
employed by will. So there's no necessarily contract, but what you were looking at most likely, I don't know what you're looking at, but it
From
most likely.
2023, the original signing of your agreement with the town.
Yeah, so that's a authorization, signature, yeah, exactly.
And
So-
you're correct in the sense that the account, up until Brian said April of this year.
Yeah, after the
2025,
state fixed their
It
boo-boos.
was, yeah, it
I
was
get it.
under the legal list, which is extremely conservative. So that 2% or whatever you quoted,
That was
very
recorded in
accurate.
March, but
Yeah.
that was the AP, that was the annual yield.
Yes, it was
which would-
very
That's like
restrictive.
less than 0.25% a month.
Yeah, and that was one of the pushes to get Prudent approved for
Right.
trust funds, because it needs to grow. It needs to keep up with inflation and grow.
Correct.
So you're right, prior, now it's in a better, we can talk about that more.
Yeah,
but
because
it's
we
in a
lost,
better-
9% each year over 3 years, and then dropped, and we're losing 2% that's 18% over a 5-year period of actually losses, you know what I mean, in the actual, market, I want to say in the market.
In the market,
Do you see what I'm saying? Which trickles down when you have investments. And so being heavily invested in paper as a protection is not necessary in an economy that we have today, where it's growing and fluctuating, all things considered. I don't even want to get into Jerome Powell at the moment, okay? In the interest rate issue and with the 30-year bond rating that we have now, okay, where it has dropped, that could be a problem with the, with the other issues with regard to employment and stuff. But the overall, you know what I mean? I know that your business partner that was here with the Budget Task Force says that you're primarily investing in pharmaceuticals, which he went, that's a no-no. And he goes, that doesn't make any money. Do you know what I mean? And that needs to be changed. And he recommended that. And we don't know if that's changed.
It
He
has.
said 25% has been invested in pharmaceuticals.
Yes, that would be the legal list. So that prior very restrictive list.
Correct.
Now it's no longer
Okay,
like
so that was from the legal list.
Yes.
Not in the new revamp that you've been working with
Correct.
Mylene with.
Right.
Correct.
Perfect, that was the question I was gonna ask Mylene in the beginning. Did we change that? Are we doing
Yes.
something different with that? Okay, great, awesome, let's
And
go.
forgive me, is it Mr. Bowen or Bowden? I'm sorry.
Bowen, B-O-W-E-N,
okay.
yeah, no, that's fine.
So
You can
Mr.
call me
Bowen-
John, it's fine.
John, okay, I just want, sorry, sometimes it.
Don't worry about it, it's fine.
So John, just to let you know too, that was current yield you were looking at. That wasn't necessarily total return. You have yield to maturity on the bonds, so that was just a portion of the income.
Right.
So now we're switching gears, just high level, just because we have a lot to go over, but high level, since it's all a short period of time, but since it's been invested on April 11th of 2025, the return after fees is 12.27%.
7%?
Period of time.
12.27.
Oh, 12.27, I'm sorry,
We need to move that closer.
12.27? Okay, so now what's the quarter? Is it from January to December, or is it on our fiscal?
That's from the inception of this new
In April.
portfolio. In April.
Well, that is
2025.
beautiful.
Yeah, and listen, I'm a big proponent.
Well, I mean, it could be higher. We actually talked about this, and I said about 16%, right, would be ideal in this market right now. Do you know what I mean?
Sure, it could be higher, but you got to remember too, it's commingled with other funds that have different spending policies.
Well, that's the other thing, and then that's where I was talking about, like, the fees and stuff like that, and the penalties that come out from pulling money out during the investment cycle should be frowned upon. You know what I mean? I mean, we do have a free cash account in the town that can avoid any kind of penalties and fees, and money could be loaned back and forth. But then again, I don't know if is free cash included in these trades?
No, not
I
at
didn't
all.
think so.
So
Okay.
let me-
Thank you, Jen.
No, not at
Jen's
all.
shaking her head going, no, that's my money.
No, not at all. So a couple of things.
So that's, okay, so that's good. So we're at, since April, we're at 12.27%. So the report that I received from you in March that said 2.54%, I know your business partner explained that that was the annual yield on the old list. That
And
we-
most likely that was just current yield,
Yes, yep,
Yeah,
not total return.
yes.
right, not total return, but current yield.
Current yield only.
Yeah.
And to just talk about, you saying up 16%, or that idea of that hedge, we kind of got
Right.
away from that. So I'll say, just for some background on this new portfolio, you have 60% in equity, 40% in bonds.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is how we really view, to us, it's a moderate portfolio.
I know that.
So you're in that situation where if the market tanks, right, you have 40% that should hopefully be a little bit of a buffer, because that's your bond side. Fixed income, we buy all different kinds of bonds, which has been helpful in a high interest rate environment. That may change a little bit, right?
Well, that's what I
But that's
mean.
why it's there.
That's why I said, are we on like an ETF where you have to have, you have to hold it for a certain cycle, and
Nope.
if you change it mid-cycle, your investment strategy mid-cycle, you get hit with a penalty. Do you know what I mean? Does it at all work like that at all?
No,
So there's
not at
no mid-cycle penalty for the treasurer to be able to say, you know what? I'd like us to, based on your recommendation, I would hope, even though you're not brokers, you're managers, that you would somehow call and say, I think this is the time for us to go up to possibly a 70-30 for the next, maybe 60 days, the way things are working out, to actually increase the overall by 1.5% more than what you're working with now.
Exactly, and what we do is we have an investment policy, so we actually set up with the treasurer targets, and then we
Yes.
set up ranges.
Yes,
So in a lot
that's-
of scenarios, we don't necessarily have to bother, Mylene. We can work within these parameters.
Because you have the latitude that's given by the
Yes.
treasurer.
If
for
we
you
wanted to
engage in
go
that.
way out of the realm,
See, that was
we
my
would talk
next
to her.
question that I was going to ask Mylene Mylene had said that I have very limited trading experience in this
Right.
document. And I went, well, then you have to help Mylene. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
For us to be able to get the best, and I want to make sure that that's actually happening, because that's going to impact us. You know, if you just said, oh, we just manage and whatever she says goes, I would have been very concerned.
No, we have full discretion of this account based on the IPS.
Based on what she says the parameters are that you can work within, correct? Based on her projected outlook and her communication and discussion with you, right? Mylene's nodding her head, yes. So
they have-
that's a collaborative effort.
Right.
John, they have excellent communication from cash flow needs.
Sure.
And remember, because it's a pooled account, it actually benefits a smaller account.
This is what I mean. That's why I was asking about the hedging for protection. How do you protect the smaller accounts from being swallowed up by the larger accounts when there's no hedge to protect them from floundering? Do you know what I mean?
Sure, it's actually better that it's pooled with another account.
Correct,
because
we agree.
Now, they make say, for example, you need $20,000 out of this account. And then now, remember, they're making annualized at a minimum rebalancing from the GL to the cash book.
Mm-hmm.
So what happens is, you know, they're going to, I'm just making a scenario, they put $100,000 into the stabilization account. Well, actually, not in this case, excuse me.
Not in this case.
We
There's
switched
only
it over,
cemetery
but
and conservation here.
let's just say
Yeah,
another account. They want to transfer in, where's the account report?
conservation.
Conservation, they use conservation, they put $20,000 into conservation, you need 20, we swap the money, we don't touch the investment.
Now, let me ask this. So some state law says that these funds, how they're used, okay, their interest, if a fund generates interest, that interest belongs to that fund. So now that we're in a pool, okay, what does it say under 203C where it allows you to pool funds? Okay, does that statute still prevail where it says that if the cemetery fund invests this much money, that money can't get split up or used between the other two funds, or conservation or us? That can't get used between the others. We can only get, so we're not really getting a percentage of the overall pool. We're only getting a small percentage of what it is our 84,000 of investment is here. That's it, correct?
You're getting percent, by the amount of money you have, the accounting report breaks it out, that you get your portion of.
The percentage, period.
Correct.
Right.
So, right.
All
so-
formulated behind the scenes.
But when you trade it all in one group, which is
Yes,
fine.
correct.
Which is
Yeah.
fine, but as far as any kind of return, like, you know, conservation has $1 million in it. They're gonna get, let's say they get 10%, that's $100,000. It's not gonna get split between all three members of the pool.
Correct. It's
Now, how about the penalty for taking money out prior to, because they are expendable funds? What's the penalty on the expendable funds, and does that get paid out of the principal of each one of those pools? Or do you have a waiver with the town on those penalties
So first of all, there's no penalty whatsoever of
for early withdrawals?
nothing.
Great.
Zero. The next thing is, we have great communication with the treasurer's office, and she tells us cash flow
We
needs.
were hoping that,
Yeah.
just so you know, we were going, my God, what kind of penalties could there be?
Oh,
Zero.
No, no,
Do you know,
no.
well, because
Yeah.
we trade. You know, and then there's gain, it's different for us because we have capital gains tax.
Right.
But the thing is that, you know, on that trade, and whether we take it out early, we pull it out and
Yes,
leave it in,
yeah,
or we roll it back over into a dividend fund and just get paid that way. Do you know what I mean? So we get trading.
Well, let's talk about that. You know, we're in the municipal world now. There's no capital gains tax you have to worry about.
Right,
No
correct.
taxable, zero. So I know in your document you're referring to tax issues.
Right.
But there is absolutely no tax consequence here.
Right.
These are not private trusts. These,
So even the.
These
even
do not follow
trust-
the same guidelines.
These are bequeath trusts. These are not considered private. They're still considered municipal, even
They're
though
municipal,
they're
correct.
individual. Because I've read cases from like the library, and there's a case in Worcester and stuff like that, where, you know, people went after, you know what I mean, the trust funds in other, you know, in other departments, and said, oh, no, because you have to do what the donor says, which means that it technically belongs to exactly how the donor says it to be used in those parameters fulfilled. So
Yes.
that would mean that if the donor said that this fund has to hold this much money in it,
Yep.
correct.
it would have to remain, you could never drop that number below. So how do you
Correct.
pull that out of a trade?
So back up. So there's two types of ways that a donor can give money. 99% of the time, and I don't know the exact number, but just
Sure.
99% of the time,
Don't worry about it, we all use those.
it goes, the reason why people want to leave money to the town is because the town never dies.
Right.
So they can live on forever. Now, so that's why a lot of them leave it to the custodian of the town and let them deal with it. They leave it, 99% of them are wills, not necessarily trust documents. We can talk about that in a minute too. But bottom line is there's that way to give it to the town, or the gifter or the donor can give the money to the town, or they can go to their own private trust company and, they have their advisor, I want to set up a trust and I want the town to be the beneficiary. So the town would get the dividend, the quarterly dividend payments, if you will, of 5%, because that falls under a private trust.
Yeah, because see, we're missing a fund in here by law. We're supposed to have the workers' compensation fund, right, which comes under, we had a discussion about that. And the law says that the Trust Funds Commission has rule over that, and I think this town has two workers' compensation funds of $145,000 each, I'm not sure. Or is it only one? I saw it in last year's record.
I'm not aware of that, John.
I mean, it's Mass General Laws, it's an.
No, I mean, I'm not aware of where the funds.
Oh, no, I know you're not, I just looked at my
Okay.
lane, that's all, so.
Okay,
and,
sorry.
But the thing is that there's $145,000 that was, that's not in this pool at this time. Do you know what I mean? That I've asked to be placed in this pool based on statute and based on a vote of the town in 1913. You know what I mean? And, coinciding with obviously our powers and duties, which were last amended in 1988, only to change the work to worker from workmen. Do you know what I mean? In they were like, you can't say workmen anymore, you have to say worker. That was the last change. Do you know what I mean? There was never been any substantial change in that policy or in that vote of the town meeting. So, and I've sent that information over, but I still don't see that it's listed here in your funds.
So back to these funds are under the public sector, so you don't fall into the same guidelines. You don't have to distribute 5% annually. You have to follow the will or the trust of the donor.
Okay. So we would basically get an increase of 12.27% based on the 84,000.
Correct.
Okay. And that would be evenly distributed based on the amount of money in each individual fund, and that would be.
You got it. We do all the accounting for you. I know
And
that
then
was a lot of
no
questions
penalty.
inside. No penalty.
That's-
No penalty for an expense early on, so if somebody
Nope.
needed money,
Nope.
they could expend it right away. So if
Exactly.
the cemetery, like I know I just went to a cemetery commission meeting, we did a walkthrough, it was beautiful, we got a lot of money spent on a lot of things that need to be done, thank you, Mike Clark, okay, and the cemetery commission for doing that, okay, and the thing is that they're gonna pull out a lot of money that's gonna have to go and get signed and a warrant signed, so that the check can get cut and so on and so forth. And I just wanted to be sure, that aside that there's not a penalty for that. You've clarified that. I'm grateful for that. Because that's actually, believe me, I'm trying to make your time quick based on my questions. Because some of my questions were specific and directed specifically to certain aspects to be finite on
Sure,
things.
we appreciate that.
So when you say yes, I go, you already answered that question. You say no, if there's questions that are grouped together, my questions turn from 10 to 5.
Yeah, that's why we appreciate coming out here, because some of them overlap. We get that.
Right.
Or connect.
They're all, and they connected for a reason,
Sure.
because I had no answers.
Right.
Understand. And that's why
We
we're
put them
here.
together, we had no answers. So I knew that we had to figure all this out before we could get somewhere, because I'm trying to alleviate you of coming back. I don't want you to come, no.
Well, and prior to this meeting.
I don't want you to have to ever come back. I want this to be understood to the public, that they understand that their money is working for them. I know that was the concern of the Budget Task Force with the presentation to the Select Board as well. Do you know what I mean? That it was a
absolutely.
concern, and it's a concern in town with regard to that. Our specific concern is, we have money we want to give to people. We want to tell people in town, look, we have money for you. That brings me to the next question, unless you have something to add.
Sure,
Would be,
meeting. Go ahead.
what's the minimums?
Minimum of what?
Minimums in the pool that any one fund should not drop below before it starts to become a cost incurrence?
Technically, 0. But fiduciary, for your having the funds in perpetuity, that's another story.
That's what I mean.
And we can help you with that with each spending guideline and all that, but there's no minimums.
Yeah, but so that's again, that brings me to, again, back to the first question, which is all the members of the pools have to work together and come with some sort of financial agreement with, you know what I mean, that they will not drop below a certain amount of money for their fund, just as we would for our fund, but with the effect of the overall pool, you know, we should have some policy together that says, look, they are expendable funds, they can be spent down to zero, okay? But you guys got to make some sort of policy or rule, and I don't know if it's the treasurer that makes that policy, do you know what I mean, with the advice of you, you know what I mean, to how low these should go outside of obviously what statute says, you know,
Yeah.
that they should go down to zero at any point in time they can. I think there's some things in here that say that they can't in statute, but not all of them, you know, but those funds should be basically to keep the pool alive without it depleting. And that's basically, you know, the follow-through on the next question that I have on the paper was, you know, what's the minimums and how does the policy get enacted?
So great questions. If I may, John, first of all, there's no other committee, I mean, minus the cemetery committee, they're the only ones spending any of the earnings. They can't touch any of the non-expendable portion.
Which is the perpetual care that goes to the state. Yeah,
Correct. They
no,
can touch it doesn't necessarily go to state, it stays within the town. It stays.
Well, they get the interest off of that. They pay perpetual
Correct.
to the state, but they only get the interest off that one account. But then they have sale lots and some other stuff.
Yeah, not to correct you, just for clarity purposes.
Sure.
It actually, nothing goes to the state. It stays right here in the town.
Yeah, I understand that.
I just make it.
Yeah, no,
black
I
and white
understand that. I
sometimes,
understand that. I understand that.
I'm like an airplane
I'm
pilot.
saying the state says you can't spend that money. You know,
Correct.
The state, that's what I was saying with, what's the requirement? The state says, nope.
Correct.
Just the interest.
Right.
So I'm asking, what do we do with the rest of it that we say, nope, just this amount?
Yeah, exactly correct. So we're just talking the same
Because
language.
that's good when your stock market totally crashes.
Yeah, there's a good portion of so just overall on this pooled account that wait a minute. Yeah, prudent, I need that extra script, roughly $84,000 that you manage or you oversee. Out of that pooled account, there's $2,155,276. Out of that, the non-expendable portion is $1.6 million. The expendable is $218,000. I'm rounding for simplicity. So you have $1.6 million, if you want exact numbers, is on the bottom of this accounting report in the
Yeah,
back.
I saw that.
I'm just reading right from there under the grand totals. If you look at ending principal non-expendable, that's the language we use. Every
Right.
town and city is different. Some use it as, there's different names, so we just call it non-expendable.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
Restricted, that's the other word.
A restricted, you're right.
Yeah.
And that's what I was asking is what's restricted?
So the non-expendable is restricted.
Correct, but the only thing that's that if I'm looking at this here, hold on. I don't want to sound like a fool. Hold on. Give me a minute.
Take your time.
Non-expendable, it says perpetual care non-expendable is 19,500. And then, I'm sorry, just the total's 28,100. So that's what needs to remain in that fund at all.
Where are you? I'm sorry?
Sorry, if you look at Cemetery Commission under fiscal year 2020, transfers of principal non-expendable.
Oh, that's the transfers, though.
Oh, okay,
So don't look at that. Look at a couple columns to the right. See where it says ending principal non-expendable?
Yes. I have.
Circle that, highlight it. I know this report is not intended necessarily for performance or showing people. This is an accountant type, like my
I see.
wife, who's a CPA.
Right.
So this isn't presentation material.
No, no.
Okay? But since we're trying to have a discussion, circle the ending principal non-expendable.
Yeah.
And circle ending earnings expendable. Just the headings, so that way you can.
I do, I see that.
Okay, now, and then you'll get the ending cash value, that's just the total of the two. And then way to the right is the ending market value, what it's worth if we sold it on the streets.
Right, I see that.
Okay, this is an accounting report you just saw today, so I'm not trying to illustrate it. Okay, so now you have, out of the perpetual care bequest, you have 220, I don't know where you're going, but 233,602.91 is non-expendable, can't touch that. By Massachusetts Trust. I mean, that's, cemetery perpetual care, basically, they've adopted it at some point, and that's what you're following, so.
Right, and that's what I was saying.
Exactly.
That's the perpetual care that the state put a cap on, which is fine, right? Because I think this town spends $800 into perpetual care, if I'm not mistaken. And then half goes to the state and the other half goes into, then they get the interest.
Yeah.
That's on the sale of any lot and so on and so forth.
So I'll explain that to you real quick and for the public. Typically speaking, when we work with these type of funds, I'm just making up numbers, your number's gonna be different, but we sell a grave or a plot.
Right.
And let's say it's $1,000.
Correct.
There's a policy with either the DPW or the Cemetery Commission that says there's a 50-50 or 70.
Correct, 70/40, 70/30
Just use
split.
50-50. Yep.
Correct.
50%, this is more for the audience and for you.
Right. Well, yeah.
So 50% goes into the perpetual care, non-expendable perpetual care. The other 50% goes into sale of lots
Right, which is 100% expendable.
because they need to dig up
That's correct.
and plant the flowers.
I get
Maybe
it.
not flowers,
Rightfully so.
right? It's a morbid thing. And then any of the earnings from the cemetery perpetual care can be used on mowers, blowers, and
Sure.
maintenance, but not employment.
Right.
So, okay?
No, I understand that, but what I'm saying is that what's the minimum outside of the perpetual care? So the minimum is, like you said, 0.
Zero. You can spend it all. I mean, unless
But that's
you don't want
why-
to touch the non-expendable, though.
Yeah, this is where I'm saying is that should we have a policy in town that says that to keep this entire pool somewhat solvent, right, each board and commission should take the action or recommendation to vote that a certain amount of money will not come out. Okay, they will spend down to a certain amount in each one of the funds, as long as it doesn't interfere with the wishes of the donor, because you can't avoid that.
Correct.
But if there's any other funds, you know what I mean, that they should sit there and say, we're not going to spend down below this, which gives us a static barometer of what's going to be used or increased based on interest.
Yeah.
So go to page 2
So if
of
you
that
flip to
report.
the next page, that ending principal non-expendable column, 1.66 million, let's call it, that can't be spent. So of the 2.1 million, you cannot spend 1.66 million. So that's a large chunk of this,
Yeah,
can't be.
that's what, now, so that therein lies the answer to the question, okay? You're basically saying out of all these funds, everything in the non-expendable, ending principal, non-expendable funds is how much money you can't spend as a member in this pool.
Correct.
So that policy is more or less already in place, and one does not need to be created for that. The protection is there.
Exactly. And
And
further,
that's what we were concerned with, too.
absolutely.
You know, how do we keep this going?
Right.
Do you know what I mean? We want to keep it going. You don't want to just spend all the money and be like, well, that's it, well, we're sorry, sir, and, 1903, you gave $2,000 that amassed $27,000 now. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
Correct.
And, you're dead, and your whole family's dead, so we're just going to let your fund die. And like you said, that's not fair to those families. And that's the concern that we have, is that this should continue in perpetuity and be protected so that the people in memoriam or the organizations in memoriam, you know what I mean, are recognized 100 years from now.
Absolutely.
We think that's valuable. They didn't, you said it in the beginning, people don't give money unless they want their name in town in perpetuity.
Sure.
And that's fair and reasonable. Okay.
Any other questions? What else do you want to go over?
Let me just,
Thank you.
Richard, do you have anything? I just want to, am I filling this all in for you?
Yeah, I think I think sort of, you have to like distill it down from as far as the management of the funds, it's you get pro rata earnings or you get pro rata expense.
Yep, exactly.
So, and.
Right on.
Yeah. So like on one of these funds, if any principal non-expendable is 69.41 and we get a balance of 95.51, we can basically give, what, $2,500 in being in compliance with the fund's guidelines. So you could just subtract the ending market value from that, any principal non-expendable.
Right.
Right, is that
Yeah,
correct?
yes, and you want to be mindful, obviously, that market value moves daily,
Right,
today.
yeah.
So you know,
That's just a
you really want
Yeah.
to,
specific date. It could be different today, but essentially you know that you have potentially, based on you have to keep 5,000 of this fund is non-expendable, but there's a balance of 24,413, you basically have a fair amount
Right.
of funds that you legally can work with.
Yeah, and it's used a lot too.
Not that you want to do it all at once in 1 year, but you have,
That's sometimes you have to, right? Like with scholarships, sometimes it's, May, and it's whatever they made up until May is what they can put out in scholarships. It really, is that simple. Some years are better than others because of the market. But yeah, you're spot on, yep.
Okay. So, do you guys put together a TAC memo for the treasurer? A trust administration memo? Do you put anything like that together for the treasurer?
we don't need
Guy?
to on this side.
Well, that just kind of
Define that, or what are you looking at? Like, what would you like to see on that? What's your expectation?
Well, so, let me pull it up. It's not that comprehensive, it's kind of like an overview. I don't know if that's a statement, or it's a statement of your direction, your forecast, from your historical information, of what you've seen to what your forecast is.
Yeah, so we do semi-annual reviews. So we'll put all
Okay.
kinds of information, whether it's
So
economic.
you do the forecasting,
Yeah.
and then you do the historical, and you show the charts.
Yep.
You know what I mean, of what we're investing in now? And
Yes.
then do you utilize that to base that on the recommendations of whether or not you should increase or decrease, the 60/40 to 70/30 and so on and so forth, so that you're getting the best bang for your buck?
Yeah.
So first of all, just so you're aware, so we do like to meet with our clients twice a year, typically.
Yeah,
The full
I know, your
report,
partner
do an
said that,
annual earnings. Yeah.
that you guys have frequent conversation and communication. And I know Mylene said that to me on the phone too, that, no, I talk to them regular.
Yeah, and we used to come out quarterly, but customers found it too much. They didn't want to, there's not much change quarterly. Getting back to the adjustment of your equity exposure, really has to do with your spending, and we can help you or the board with that, or any board. Basically, it depends on, how much you're spending out of the fund. If the funds are earning, if you targeted a 60/40, you have a 60/40 portfolio, and it's targeting 6% long-term expected rate of return, but you're drawing out 7.
Yeah, we're a little different. We have to be careful.
I understand that. I'm just
Because,
giving you-
because the donor goes, do that. Do you know what I mean? And we're the group of people that go like this, yes, sir, whatever you left in your death and wrote on your will. Do you know what I'm saying?
Sure.
We don't, we have to be very careful about what we withhold. Like if a need arises and it's there, unfortunately, Mylene, we won't have a choice. You know what I mean? Unless that person's willing to wait. I mean, we have poor funds for people with no money. Do you know what I mean? We have Legion funds for, military veterans. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I understand completely. So there's two sides of this, right? I was looking at the fund that, you may have a fund, and that you may have a fund that has, $5,000 of, depending on the trust document. You got to go back to the trust document or the will, number one, right? Get a copy of all those. And by the way,
Yeah, well,
you
we'll-
probably don't have one, and that's okay. It's very typical, but it is part of your role now to find those.
Well, accordingly, I talked with the Attorney General's office, just to let you know. So I talked to the Attorney General's office, and they said that it's not really 100% necessary for us to do a Cypress filing on the trust documents that are not clear or not modernized and so on and so forth. We can actually petition the Attorney General's office to get a declaration on the Cypress filing instead of having to go to probate court with it. Based on the age of it, based on what information we presently have.
Sure.
And so on and so forth, and how to modernize it, because it's considered to be they're basically considered to be charities, and that falls under the purview of the Attorney General. Now, if the Attorney General thinks that there's a dispute between a family member or somebody, then it becomes time, that's when you file for Cypress on it.
Sure.
And that's a whole, different ballgame, because, we have a fund here for the worthy poor. Okay, and when you read the declaration, we have a fund here for a sidewalk. Okay, DPW makes sidewalks today, but we have a sidewalk fund. Do you see my point?
Oh, yeah, you don't have a horse trough fund?
Well, I think that's what it might have had to do. Maybe there was a boardwalk
We've
in the
seen
front
some
of
weird
town that
ones.
We've
would
seen
needed
some
to
weird
be
ones.
replaced, and it was a restoration type fund. Do you know what I mean? Put aside.
We've seen them all. We work with quite a few. It's not,
We have
work
to
with.
modernize them and get them to where they make sense,
Absolutely.
so that we can give the money away, like, for what the folks want. The
Correct.
beneficiary said, this is what I want to give, and I want this for this purpose.
But in the context of the discussion with Bartholomew, I don't think any people's declarations have requests on how the funds are invested.
They typically aren't. They don't know any
They're not gonna say, I
different.
only want this invested.
Well, they do library, so like I said, there's a case with the Worcester Library, there was a donation for a library section and stuff like that, that Worcester said basically, and this is where library funds have their own trust committee, is because they gave it to the library, and when the town converted themselves to a city, they said, we want to have control because the Trust Fund Commission has authority over it. And the argument was, well, the fund was in place before the Trust Fund Commission was organized. It has to stay what the incumbent rule was, as opposed to what the new rule is that you changed. And so that's where that ended up opening for the libraries to be held by the town, but to be maintained by the Trust Commission appointed by the library board of directors.
Sure.
Do you see my point? So
Right, but I don't think there's any, would there be declarations that would say, we don't want you investing in
that's what that
tobacco
case
companies,"
was.
Right.
Right?
Well, that case said
We
that
have
it's
we have
going to be
direct them,
managed
like,
by.
don't, make sure you don't invest in any tobacco companies. because
Right.
We have a person who give a lot of money who says, don't invest in tobacco companies. But I don't think any of those exist that would require us to have you direct your strategy or
Right.
executions with trades to avoid a certain subset of companies that,
It's an exception.
yeah.
Mylene handles the declarations, okay? The
As a
declarations, the statutory declarations, but we have questions about those statutory declarations as well.
Sure.
Do you know what I mean? Because, there's been some expenditures that have been done in expendable funds, that don't really fit the purview of, for what that money should be used for. Do you know what I mean? As
Sure.
just as an oversight. That's not you, that comes down with the executive. And, how that money has been distributed and allowed to be spent. Do you know what I mean? And, what he's asking is, what's the checklist? This is what we have an email into the finance director and the treasurer now. What's the checklist you use to determine that waste isn't done? Because I'll give you an example. A couple of years ago, there was money that was allotted for the engraving on a private citizen's bench on a private lot. Do you know what I mean? In a cemetery. That can't happen and should
Sure.
never have been paid for. Do you know what I mean? There's been money expended for, paying somebody without a 1099, but paying somebody cash to plant flowers. That's a government contract. There was money that was going out like that, and it was probably just oversighted going, oh, this is the normal course of business as we have always done in town. And this is what's basically been happening, I think, over the last 10 years in select board meetings and so on and so forth. People are trying to catch up and say, we can't do like we used to. You know what I mean? There's going to be some hard changes, and we have to make it more within line with the order of the law for how it is written and the way it is done. And I think that's what Richard's saying is that, restrictions, and there are restrictions in some trusts.
Sure,
But
there
if
are.
they violate the law, they are unenforceable even in the trust. And that's the treasurer's job to go, nope, no. You can't say, I'm not going to give money to black people. You can't say that. I'm not going to give money because, this person has no education. Do you know what I mean? And, something negative, that's
understand.
based on race or discriminatory and things like that. People write trusts like that all the time in corporations. Do you know what I mean? And it happens. You get older people, 100 years old, set in their ways, and they're still acting like it's 1935 in America. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, no, you can't. Yeah, he wrote that, but it's unenforceable. And this is my point. You know what I mean? And this is what we leave up to Mylene to look at. We're wanting to know what checklist are you using, but you're not using a checklist because you don't determine whether or not something is to be expended. First, it's cleared by the
yeah.
town.
That's out of our purview.
Correct.
We invest the money according to the guidelines of the investment policy and everything else.
But you
we
don't
talked about.
qualify whether it's a trust fund or a perpetual care.
We're not the
or you do
manager.
nothing in the background there. That's
You
up
are,
to town's
Mylene,
lawyers.
the town.
Yeah.
Not
Okay.
us. That's the differentiator
No, that's
of
good.
private trust versus municipal trusts.
Right, and that's what we wanted. We wanted to know that you don't make the decision on what the fund is to be called. Do you know what I mean? That the town says, no, this is what we tell you the fund is.
Exactly.
Then you say, okay, this is how you do this. You don't make those recommendations.
No. Recommendations we would typically make are based on, obviously, the trust document. We're going to look at it, how they want to invest it. 9 times out of 10, they used to default to the legalist, now to prudent, because people didn't know when they were giving money those laws, number one. Number two, then as far as any of the other things, we don't get involved with any of that, okay? Any of the expenditures that was told to us by you. You're the trustees, and the custodian is Mylene as the treasurer.
All right. Well, that encompassed like all our questions pretty quickly.
Any other concerns?
Anything you want to raise with us that we might not have asked?
You asked, I think we've dealt with quite a few for our first meetings. We haven't met with this board for a long time, so.
Yeah, well, we just,
I think it could be,
we want to make sure that, nothing negative happens to the funds that we have purview over. Do you know what I'm saying?
absolutely.
We don't, we're
don't
a
either.
member of a pool.
We don't either.
Yeah, because, like I said, that's what makes this vital. When you're a pool, everybody has to get along. Everybody has to say, I'm not going to do this, I'm not going to do that, because it might negatively impact something. And if people don't have the answers or the direction, like now they're going to watch this meeting, they're going to have the answers and the direction saying, look, you guys are members of a pool, right? But we're all working for the same goal, right? And everybody's money gets run through Mylene, or it doesn't get taken care of, and as well as when it comes to the investment strategy. To that, but that comes based on your recommendation on your biannual thing, which tells me that I'm thinking that we should be more or less quarterly on changing our investment strategy.
No, you don't want to do
as
that.
opposed to biannually, because biannually would be what, every 6 months or every?
Yeah, you don't want to change your investment strategy. You want to look at, we go through a formula on each of these funds.
Okay.
Spending. You don't want to change your investment strategy based on an election. You
But
don't,
remember, we're
Oh, no,
placing-
don't do that, please.
We're placing
Don't
trades.
ever do that.
We're placing trades all the time.
I know.
Behind the scenes. So I just want to make that clear. It's not like every 6 months, we just let it sit for 6
What are we investing in right now? Like, can you give me a few? I don't want to hear banks and paper like that. I want to hear some more of the riskier investments, which under 203C, you have decided to adopt to be able to generate that 12.27%. Not the list of 20, so to speak. And I know they're going to overlap, but I'm saying is, I don't want to hear, oh, we have Bank of America. Well, we've always been able to invest in Bank of America. Do you know?
yeah, no, completely different. Chapter 203C allows you, we're not
Right. Lots of
investing in
latitude into
Bitcoin.
equities.
Yeah, we're not investing in Bitcoin or penny stocks. It's not allowed.
Right.
You can do that personally, go ahead, do it, but it's not allowed in the municipal space.
Yeah, honestly, what's performed the best since we opened this was our international equity exposure, which is mostly developed international. We're underweight in things like China. We don't take on a
Are you talking about
huge amount
bonds?
of risk.
Are you talking
No,
about
on the equity side.
so your equity investments into foreign countries' economies or into commodities?
The companies.
So the specific foreign companies.
Oh, yeah, yep.
Okay, so if there's
Well, in mutual funds.
okay,
everything's
so
in-
through mutual
Yes.
fund
Or
protection and
ETFs.
so forth,
Yeah.
right? Which means
Yes.
that
Oh, yeah.
you're given and granted a minimum of 4% return, and you can't get less than 4%. You know what I mean? That'd be the minimum if the fund tanked. You know what I mean? And then it's recoverable FDIC or whatever, however.
No, so this is investing in the market, so nothing's insured.
Okay.
It's all,
So it's a different style of mutual.
yeah, and we have, so I guess to this point, just broadly, we have domestic, international equities, we have bonds, same thing, we own a lot
Yeah,
of.
bonds are always our balance.
Yeah, exactly, we have
Right.
some alternative funds, which could be commodities, so we have a big basket of a lot of different,
Are we allowed, we're not allowed to invest in commodities, is that correct?
you can.
Like
yeah.
gold, oil, you're not
Yep.
allowed? Okay, so, okay, so in those investments, like, gold is a safety fund, more or less, kind of like a bond. Do you know what I mean? That wouldn't be, would the commodities be considered equity?
We put them in a separate bucket, we call them alternatives.
Oh,
Because they're
okay.
kind of that,
I know, they go like
They're
the,
kind of in between, yeah.
right.
So
They're not all this, they're not all that.
Exactly,
Right,
yeah,
they're
it
not
could be
100% equity funds, they're not 100%
Exactly.
bond funds.
Yeah, we put them
Like,
in this other bucket.
You'll
kind
do
of.
corn, wheat, things like that.
Yeah, yep,
So
yep.
are those also ETFs or through options?
Both, so mostly mutual funds and ETFs. We don't do our own options.
But there's no penalties.
Nope, no penalties.
See, that's why I was nervous.
Yeah, no.
I was
There
like,
are funds
I know,
that
'cause
have,
I've
we don't buy
screwed
them.
up. I've screwed up and went, oh, God. And I go, oh, and there's a capital gains on top of that fee? Oh, well, there goes all that
Right,
money. I might as
yeah.
well just throw it out into the basket and taxes come in and you go, bye. Right, there goes that entire fund.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then the fund tanks at the end of the year and I go, oh, there it goes there too. The whole thing's gone. Now it's a penny stock. Do you know what I mean? I'm like, that was stupid. I did that already. So that was over 12 years ago. That's when I did that.
Try not to do that again.
I learned the first time. That was a lot of money.
Painful, but
That was very
how we
painful.
learn,
It was
right?
almost $50,000. I was like buried at the end of the year. I was just, nope. So, trust me, I learned that was a hard lesson. That was very hard. That took a lot of money out of my pocket
sorry.
that I could have had an annuity and just let it sit there. You know what I mean? Think of what that would be today. So, trust me. And I was just starting to figure out how to trade. And I did that. And then I got told, don't be stupid. You don't know how to trade. Do little stuff till you learn. Then
Yeah.
drop that kind of money. So
Yeah.
I learned, trust me. Hard.
Ouch.
So, okay. So are you clear on that?
Yeah, it's clear. It's good to see that we're allowed to broaden the, the portfolio.
Yeah, compared to before, absolutely. Yeah, though you had 22 stocks, now you have.
So
Anything
you're not brokers, technically, just
Investment advisor.
investment managers,
Right.
right?
And we have a broker-dealer who places...
I was just going to
Yeah,
say.
so let's go through that real quick. So we're a privately held independent, privately held investment advisory firm, centrally located out of Worcester. Our broker-dealer, well, Commonwealth Financial Network, now LPL. It's in the transition of it's officially merged, but they're going through the application process. Currently, your custodian, and there's no custodial risk, if you understand that through the auditors. The auditors will bring that up because they don't understand it. They'll say, is there custodial risk? There's no custodial risk because all of your funds are in your tax ID number, well, not yours, but the town's tax ID number, under the town's name, and those are sitting.
I would like it to be in my tax. I
know.
I'll take that.
There you go. Then you have to pay capital gains, which is okay if you're making money.
I'll still make money.
So, yeah,
It's only
exactly.
42%. I'm good with it.
So the NFS, National Financial Services, is a subsidiary of Fidelity.
Yes.
If we go out of business and LPL goes out of business, which that'd be crazy, but if it did, your funds are sitting in National Financial Services, and you can pick those up and move them anywhere you like.
Right, it's like a clearinghouse to pick up your money.
Exactly, yep.
Right, which you're fiduciarily responsible to make sure that you overturn, or you're considered to be Bear Stearns.
Right.
Sorry.
Ouch. No.
Ow. I had to say that. Oops. One of the largest Ponzi schemes that never got caught being a Ponzi scheme.
So, John, the one...
Sorry.
Ouch, passed. One of the things, John and Richard, if I could, you'd asked, one of the things I want you to be comfortable with knowing is, we don't, for the most part, I have a couple of private wealth clients, but quite honestly, they're friends and family. I may have 12 if that's, if that. Our team...
Yeah, they're TikTok influencers, right?
Yeah. But for the most part, our team, we had 4 advisors that manage the 330 municipal entities, 4 outside municipal advisors that manage and work with your portfolio. That's all we do. We specialize in municipalities. 99% of it's municipal funds. Okay? So I just want you to feel comfortable. This isn't like we're a one-off.
Oh, no.
One-off advisors where I
That was
want you
never-
and the public to know.
No, that was never. Your
Okay.
presentation with the Budget Task Force, your presentation, before the Select Board, that's never even been a question here. We never even questioned that, not even with the town, of the professionalism, the experience, the expertise, the partners, the years in business, you know what I mean? The percentage of billions that you invest with, even though it's a small set. Do you know what I mean? It's still a substantial amount for a local.
It's niche, right? It's niche because of the.
Yeah, no, we
And I
never
just
had a
saying that
question
so
about
you
your
know.
integrity ever.
So I don't know how much you've explored us or whatnot. I just want you to feel comfortable with that. We actually bring things to the management or, to Mylene if we find something in the market, because we go to every single meeting in the state, in the counties, and if there's any updates on OPEB or trust funds or anything, we bring it right to them and let them know.
So what's the overall, just out of here, this is random and not have anything to do with my commission, but what's the town trading at right now, overall investment since they started in April? Is it the 12.27 overall on all town funds?
They're different funds for different purposes. Some are general funds, so you can't say that. OPEB funds are different.
So it's different for each
Yeah, you
individual one?
can't overall it because, we have.
No, I
We
understand.
currently manage general funds for the town, laddered in treasuries, 3, 6, 9, 12, well, maybe it's 3, 6, 9 laddered treasuries, because under Mass General Law, Chapter 4450, for you, or 55, excuse me, you can only invest in treasuries up to 1 year.
Right, there's a percentage. There's a
Yeah,
certain,
so, I mean.
a certain window.
You're
I know,
looking at
no, I
4%.
understand. I was just curious, that's all. I just threw
Yeah,
that
yeah.
out there, because I was like, I looked at this and I was satisfied when I saw that. In March, when I saw 2.54, I went, I said, that's a huge issue.
But
you
do me
know?
a favor.
Yeah, I was
Just
gonna
got to
say.
get this off your head. That's an accounting report. That is not total return. That just shows the current yield. We're buying things at discounts for 0,
Right,
but it's maturing at a yield. I'm making up numbers right now because I'm not looking at it.
right, and that's why I
Maturing at
said,
4.5%, 5%.
I'm anticipating the over annual take at 18%, roughly, possibly a little lower.
Yeah, you won't see that long-term projected.
No, but
With a
injected in
60/40.
today's economy at the moment, I say for the next year, there's at least an 18%, and then it dropped down to 12 annually, which, you know what I mean, which overall, for the next 3 years, will basically make up any difference or, and I know I used the word loss, but make up the increase in the interest to the entire fund that may have not been generated over the last 3.5 years, and that we can look at in the next 2 years to make up the difference interest-wise by the losses that we've had, over
Yeah,
the last
sure.
3 years, which are amounting to like 27%.
With a 60/40 portfolio, the long term, you're not going to get that. Now, I'll leave you with this. Well, I don't have to leave you. This is your meeting. I have until 2:45, then I have to head to another meeting. But if you ever need to change the outside of the portfolio here in the pooled funds, which you will lose some of the flexibility of the pooled fund being like you can swap money and don't touch the investment, all that stuff we already talked about. But if you ever find that you need to ratchet up your equity exposure, we can, now with Prudent Investor, it allows you to take an $83,000 account, put it in its own separate account, ratchet up to 100% equity. I'm not recommending that, but.
Right, but that wouldn't be good because of the amount of money that we have. That would be something that would be good for like conservation. They have over $1 million. Do you know what I mean?
It's not good or bad. You can do it. You have the flexibility. The way we invest, it's not a problem. I wouldn't recommend investing 100-0 without looking at your cash flow needs, your draw rates, and all that. So please don't hear what I just said as that's what I would do.
No, I didn't.
I'm just giving you what you can do
Yeah.
if you decided you wanted to change or ratchet up the equity because of the cash flow needs out of your pooled funds that you have under your management. So we can do that.
Yeah, we understand making crazy examples to exaggerate the actual example. That if you did this and you had this and it was a perfect world. That's the best way to work, I think, is say this is what it looks like in a perfect world, but this is where you live. Do you know what I
I didn't
mean?
want to give you a number you get. So hopefully that helps.
No, that's fine. That's fine. No, I don't have any more questions. I think everything's been answered outside of I'm just waiting for a checklist from the treasurer on, how the declarations, for the other funds are actually, organized so that they fit the money that's being expended, because we want to be able to see what they're expending money on at the same time, because that affects the overall total interest you just explained to us in the pool. I know we have some securities in place here, but if there's some if there's discrepancies happening and things like that, we want to be able to see that. Are we going to be able to see your quarterly reports that you submit to the town?
The accounting reports?
Yeah,
Or you talked to Mylene?
the quarterlies, do they send you?
The quarterly review is this, the quarterly report is this one. The annual review is the one that they normally, the portfolio how they invest the funds.
Yeah, just so we can see, and if there's like a historical data of before, now, and after, do you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Would be like so valuable for us to tell the public, hey, see what we did? Do you know what I mean? And this is where we're going, and this is how much more money we can give away.
Yeah, they provide those information.
Okay. So we know we can get it.
Mr. Chairman, can I ask a question?
No, yeah.
Okay, so,
I was glad you were here.
thank you. So Jennifer Warren Diamond, Town Manager. One of the things that I heard discussed a lot, and I understand is a concern for the Trust Commission, is the impact of various investments that are pooled together and the impact that it has on the funds that you oversee. But the Trust Commission does have in their purview, if they are not satisfied with the performance of other funds in the pool, as trust commissioners, it's their decision to remove the 5 miscellaneous funds from the pool. Is that correct? That would be they could remove those and not have the effect of the pooled instruments are.
Yes.
Okay.
Can I just follow up with that? What would the percentage change be on the impact of the fees?
Same. No.
Nothing changed from the
Because you can-
0.35, 1%, all the way up, stays the same?
You can
Because
have
of
a
the
s-
overall town?
Correct.
Good, okay, done.
Okay, and then the other thing that there was a conversation about, that ideally, the trust commissioners would prefer that there was a overarching policy of all pooled funds within the pool, so that all pooled funds are essentially operating under the same investment strategies by all the different entities that control those funds. But I don't know if this is more a question or I'm going to make a statement. So, that they, from what I understand at least, while they can request that and they can hope for that, there's nothing that they can do to bind for, let's say, the library trustees or the cemetery trustees to abide by a policy that the trust commissioners would like.
Correct. Under Chapter 41, sorry. Green, red.
Yeah, it's okay.
I believe you have a separate library board.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's taking them out.
Completely, that was the case law I just told you about from Worcester, from the library in Worcester. That was the determining case that separated that because the incumbent on the donation changed, and then they changed the rules and made it part of statute. So yeah, library is always out.
Well, so in Massachusetts, there's very few that have their own separate boards because there's a special town meeting vote that has to happen, which they don't typically. But in Worcester's case and in your case, you have a separate library.
Yes.
Okay. Under Chapter 4135, the treasurer takes custody of all funds. Chapter 4135. So it says in that chapter that they take custodian all funds, typically. So hopefully that helps.
You mean the library?
Any other, no, not the library. Separate the library. Any other fund, cemetery commissions, your funds.
Yes.
Well, there, you have your board, so you direct. But then all of the funds are under the domain of the treasurer, according to Mass General Law.
Well, no, that's absolutely correct. The only question that I have with regard is, we don't vote or appropriate as a trust fund commission.
Yes, you do.
But outside of our own money.
Right.
Right.
But when it comes to the oversight, okay, of what is considered to be a trust fund by statute, this is a legal issue. This is not for you.
Not for me.
That there is a check and balance that the treasurer herself, right, has some means to show that the funds are being expended according to the trust declaration, whether it's statutory, a bequest, a gift,
Sure.
or anything that is given. It's only advisory, like scholarships. Same thing, there's no scholarship committee or education fund committee in town, okay? Appropriation can come through of those monies under 3C, Chapter 63C, can come under the direction of the Finance Committee, or they used to call it the Prudential Committee years ago. So it can come under their discretion on the issuing of those funds, okay, in the absence of, okay, a school committee, the school committee, but can appropriate that money anytime they want. But what I'm saying is, to clarify, I'm sorry, I'm just jumping all over the place on that one, that when it comes to scholarships that are given to the town, that are not money generated as a town-wide scholarship, meaning that you ever get your tax bill, a little check by dollar to the education fund, those are the only ones that the Department of Local Services says are actually regulated by statute, that anything else is considered to be a gift, okay, of which this board does not have authority of appropriation, but does have authority to the declaration to make sure that it's being given.
Mr. Chairman, I want to be clear, you do have authority to appropriate from your funds, and actually, that's what this commission should be doing, is vetting applications for the
Well,
funds.
for our funds.
For your funds.
Yes, we
But,
agree.
so you do have appropriation authority of those, under whatever, if you can locate some of those directive documents to see how those funds need to be expended, surely that's something that this commission should be working on.
Correct.
You do have that authority.
Yeah, we're working
But I
on it.
just want to reiterate,
Thank
if
you.
you are looking for a common policy, you would
I
probably
see
need
what you-
to
yeah, no,
approach
that's
those
gonna-
other groups, but you could not force them.
No.
And you could not bind them.
No.
Nor could you control their expenditures.
Not at all.
So if you are concerned with the way, if this body is concerned with the way there are being expenditures made from other funds, your option is to remove your funds from that pooling and to control them on your own.
Correct.
Okay.
No, correct.
As long as we are very clear that this
Oh,
is
no,
not
I-
going to be controlling other people's funds.
Oh, no, there is no control of other people's funds, but what there is, okay, is that you already explained that with this is the minimum, the $1 million, and you don't touch that. That's the control that's already in place. And that's the direction that I was looking at is, where is the control that is in place? As a member of a pool, then I have a right to be able to see everybody else's expenditure, unless there is a policy to protect the overall pool from losing any kind of value to itself, interest-wise, that affects the group as a whole. And that's why I had raised that issue, and you clarified that issue, that nothing drops below this, can drop below this, and the only person that can make it drop below this is not even the town manager, but the treasurer, who holds all the cards when it comes to the fiscal responsibility in the town, by statute. She's bonded, she's not.
That's correct.
Correct.
Do you know what I mean?
And her check
She
and
has to
balance.
answer to her bond.
Correct.
She doesn't have a
That's
bond.
right. And actually, in my last community, when we were adopting the prudent investor rule, that's exactly
That's
the argument.
the
that was
actual
made,
boss is behind
that
you.
It shouldn't be the town manager's ultimate decision for that very reason, because this is the individual that's bonded.
That's correct.
Yeah.
And this is where we want clarification for the public is who's running the money? Do you know what I mean? And how's it being met out, and how's it being invested, and how's it being protected? And that was the point of this communication. And we have every question answered, and I just want to commend you for that.
Thank you. And the check and balance to the treasurer is the accountant and finance director.
Well, yes, absolutely, and that's why we have that,
Not for you, for the public.
for the public.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I deal with a lot of communities.
Yeah, no, oh, good. Very, very happy and content, and I am very grateful that you guys had taken the time out today to come up, and we wanted to hold this meeting anyways during the business day.
We appreciate
And
that.
not after hours because both of us being Republican and conservative at the same time, when it comes to money, we don't want people on overtime too much. Do you know what I mean? Because it costs the people money. That's just how we.
Well, I appreciate it because we have family engagements tonight, so this is a last-minute thing we could figure out how to do during the day, so thank
Yeah,
you.
no, we appreciate it. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for coming by. I do appreciate you helping to clarify a lot of points. I think John and I were maybe making some assumptions based upon not understanding some of these things. When you see a 2.54, which we now know is just the current yield, it's not the total return, I think, wow, inflation's 9, 10, 12%, we're getting 2, we're
That was
losing
our concern.
10% a year,
Yes.
whatever, right? So, and understanding how the, non-expendable and how it's pro rata on upside and pro rata on expenses, so that helps to bound things a little better, so now we can look at things with a little more education and maybe now this is very helpful, and I appreciate you coming out and spending time and answering questions and giving us an education on some of the nuances of the process. So thank you.
Thank you, we appreciate it.
Yeah,
Yeah, we appreciate
thank
you guys
Yeah.
very, very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mylene. Thank you, Ms. Town Manager, for showing up. So, okay, so that works out very well. So basically, you have been told that if you don't like the way that the Cemetery Commission and the Conservation Commission is spending their money, you can kick yourself out of their pool.
Or if we don't like the investment strategy as a whole, we can say we want to be 75%
Yeah, nobody's doing that.
bonds and 25% gold.
Nobody's doing, nobody's doing that. It's.
Which
you
would have been
know.
a good investment, 9 months ago, getting into gold.
But we're very satisfied. You have no idea how helpful you've been, and I think now the community has a way better understanding of this financial direction from the last time that the presentation came before the select board.
Excellent, thank you.
I thank you both, and Mylene and Ms. Town Manager. Have a great afternoon.
You as well,
And go enjoy your evening. We didn't want to drag you all in here in the evening. We just have a couple extra things to go through.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, very good. Da-da-da. All right.
So does this make you feel better on the current state of affairs and how the funds are?
Well, I'm going to ask you that one.
Well, I think the concern, I know, but when you raised it, it's so, we didn't really know, because you would think, oh, maybe some of this money's in time deposits, and time deposits have penalties. So if they're pulling money out, is a time deposit going to have to incur a penalty to?
Well, these were never
satisfy-
made clear.
To satisfy somebody else's obligation because there was
Correct.
an unforeseen or unplanned expenditure that now, quote, everybody else is paying a penalty, which doesn't sound like that's the case. So I think I feel, a bit more comfortable when I look at these numbers now, understanding what the returns are really, understanding now that with the change in investment strategy, that now this, 12.27, that's, now you're beating inflation, and you're actually maybe able to get ahead. So this was a very, very valuable, I'm glad we were able to get this meeting scheduled at this point.
Well, like I said, I want to
To
have,
answer a lot of uncertainties and assumptions we were maybe making. So now that these are settled, I think that this was a very good use of our time, and thank to Bartholomew, Mylene, and the town manager for attending today to help cement some of these issues.
well, I think it makes it, like I said, it makes it, there was a lot of information that was given out by them that was not clarifying specifically, you know what I mean? Its operation, as opposed to, here's the numbers, here's the percentages, here's the money. What do you guys want to do? And here's our bucket. This bucket you're in, you're not in this bucket no more, you're not in this bucket no more, you're here. So, but we did hear that we're still at 60/40, and we're at 12%, but, that should be taken into consideration to be increased, considering the state of the economy, and change that 12 and maybe increase that to 14 to 15. You heard the conversation. Do you know what I mean? That it may be a little bit riskier to go up to maybe, 80/20, 70/30, and take in that extra 1.5%, 2.5% over the next year and generate more interest for all the funds in the pool. Okay, but again, that comes down to, Mylene having that communication. But basically, with that particular communication, outside of us being told that if we don't like the way the investment is, we can get out of the pool, and any other member can leave if they don't like the way the investment is. We can get out of the pool was, to be honest with you, was a town manager slap in the face to the Trust Fund Commission. Overall, how I see it. With that nobody's leaving a pool. Why would we do that? Do you know what I mean? Why would we do something that would injure the overall interests of others in town? That wouldn't make any sense.
Well, I don't know if it would hurt the.
Over an investment.
No, I don't know if it would injure the others. They take their path and we take our path, and who knows, they could end up with a better return if the market goes a certain direction. If we make a bad call to separate our funds from the overall pool, we could be making a decision that ends up hurting us.
But it was over the way the money is invested. So, meaning that the treasurer is working at this 60-40 across the board through the whole town, outside of a couple of funds he said that are a little bit different. That might be more conservative. That's probably like OPEB and retirement fund. You know what I mean? You don't want to like go, those funds you don't want to go crazy with, because you lose. People start retiring and now you're in trouble because you don't have the money back. You know, but what I'm saying is that as far as the majority of the funds, you know, in the investment is at 60-40, you know, hello, Finance Committee, ask for the change. Find out, you know, quarterly what's going on, get a report. Why am I getting the report? I'm going to get the report to see what the quarterlies are with regard to how it affects my fund. But if you're the Finance Committee, shouldn't you be looking at quarterly, you know, of the overall funds and what's being returned and how those are being invested, 60-40, 80-20, 70-30, and take a look at those to see what kind of better benefit could be, and find out from the treasurer, you know, what is the rationale behind this right now and why aren't we investing more? You heard Mr. Scalambrini say and Renee Emke say on the Budget Task Force meeting, okay? They were like, why are we not letting our money work for us? Why are we not letting our money work for us? Well, now that Budget Task Force has made their presentation, this falls on the Finance Committee to make the recommendation to increase the expenditures and convince the Select Board that this is a good method to do. An act that's going to benefit us, that's going to benefit our pooled funds. Do you know what I mean? To be able to make those changes. And that's my point. My point is it's not about leaving or separating or anything like that. It's not about somebody has a better way. It's about collaboration. Where's the Finance Committee in the collaboration? Where are they? They're silent. Well, they shouldn't be silent, because we could be doing better, like was proposed by the Budget Task Force. We need to do better. And now look, $500,000 from a school committee, from the school rather, not the school committee, but from the school. Oh, look, we gave $1 million on an override. Oh, we gave another, you know, $500,000 or so, you know what I mean, last year. Oh, now, oh, look, we have $500,000. Oh, where did that come from? See? So overall, you know, who has the right way to invest? Well, recommendations need to be made, and the risks need to not be on Mylene, the treasurer. The risk has to be by recommendation of the people, okay, through the Finance Committee, to be able to increase the amount that we're earning, okay, and have the finance director, you know, come in and say, we could do better, and we will hear your recommendation, but the ultimate decider obviously comes down to Mylene.
Yeah, but it is a balance of risk and return, though, because every investment strategy is going to be is retrospective. Oh, we should have invested this, and we would have got a better return.
No,
but you know,
I gave you my shoulda, woulda, coulda scenario. I lost it.
Right, but next year the market has a 40% drop, and it's like, oh, we should have been more in bonds, you know. So that's where you got to pick either a 60-40, you know.
No, you do it. It's in the immediate.
You got to kind of do it as a, you know, a general balance philosophy of,
Right.
you know.
But 60-40, like you heard what Bartholomew had said, they said that 60-40, you know, can be harmful. You know what I mean? By staying that balanced constantly when you have the option to do more. And he says the passing of 203C says you have the option to get and do more, obviously at more risk, and you can't hold Bartholomew and Company in check, and you can't hold the treasurer in check either. You can't go attack her bond because of an investment strategy. You can't. It's against the law. She's protected completely 100%. Nothing's ever going to happen to her if she says, I want to do 80-20 on these funds, and something happens with those funds. You can't go after her. She can't get fired. Town manager can't fire her. Select board can't fire. Nobody can fire her. I don't think people realize and understand, you know, the power that's in that office, okay? That's not an easy office to fire somebody, okay, for doing something wrong, because half the time, particularly when it comes to investments, that is, Because, she's not in charge of the market. She didn't know a hurricane was going to come through and destroy half the country, or an earthquake was going to cut up through Mount Rushmore or something. She had no idea. Do you know what I mean? It's like you can't hold her feet to the fire on that. So she can take the risk without suffering, any backlash from taking the risk. So she's protected to that extent, right? What do we, the people, want to do? Not just, I want to see more for our funds in interest, okay? I want to see more for the pool in interest
Yeah, I mean,
to benefit each one. The Cemetery Commission just went out, and I think they spent $22,000. Wouldn't it be nice if they were able to be at an 80-20 investment over the next cycle and actually generate half that money back on $1 million? That would be valuable. And this is what I mean. Let people spend, right? I'm going to put the flag out there. Where's the Finance Committee? Hello? We're calling you, okay? Make some decisions, make some recommendations based on Budget Task Force, based on their presentation to the Select Board and the presentation you heard here. Help us. We're asking the people to help us. Help us do more. We want to give out money. We put together a risk management and best practices policy. Everything that was discussed here is in those risk management and best practices policy. Everything, with our view of how we see the investment. We just think that it could probably be a little higher, a little riskier at this time. I mean, treasury bonds are down. The commodity market seems to be doing okay. They were up. The S&P seems to be doing extremely well in equities. I'm waiting. Why are we at 60-40 still? Christmas season is coming. People are going to spend money in the economy. You know as well as I do, the retail market goes like sky high, right? Is our portfolio diversified enough in like Target, Walmart? I mean, J.C. Penney. Like what, you know what I'm saying? I'm just speculating on that premise. We don't know, but Bartholomew does. And that's the good part. We don't have to know that. They're
that's what we
doing
pay them for.
and that's what they're being paid for. So then they have their own broker to deal with that, and the historical and the the future investment strategies, by recommendation are presented to the treasurer. But why aren't these presented to the finance committee to look at? And have them make a recommendation on, whether or not there should be an increase or a decrease based on a presentation from the finance director on a quarterly basis over the investment cycles. We're only doing it biannually, so, do you know what I'm saying? But, that's fine. But then biannually, why are we not doing it? And I'm glad to hear that we started doing this in April. That was a major concern, that we were not investing, as we should have been.
As we could have been.
As we could have been,
Yeah.
yeah. Because that's
Because
back
we're
to,
now
I
out
shoulda,
the-
coulda back then, but now I'm not, and that's why I lost.
But we could have starting back whatever, and we didn't take advantage of it right away.
Right, we should have taken advantage of it
Earlier.
back in September,
Earlier.
but you heard the state had a lot of fudging issues, okay, with that. So we really can't say, well, we could have then, because then the state, he said it himself, he's like, we didn't even know, like, how, because they couldn't figure it out. So they really couldn't do anything. Their hands were kind of strapped and tied probably for a few months. And then, we had budget season and stuff like that in town meeting, which was all getting, January, February, the treasurer's mixed up with that. And then April comes, and she goes, okay, yeah, now let's move. Bartholomew says, let's move on.
Right, but it's a new chapter now, and we can move forward.
Yeah, because we have everything.
What we have now, it's probably the opportunity to at least keep the funds healthier.
I'm very happy. I don't know about you. I mean, I don't know what the public thinks, but hopefully, somebody will say something. But, I'm kind
I was
of,
relieved by hearing some of the issues brought up today and some of the statements that you feel feel more relieved than it was before, because it was just, we were operating in a bit of a vacuum, and
Yeah.
we had to make assumptions.
Well, the only way to get answers is to ask questions.
Yeah.
And sometimes questions are painful for people because they take it personally, you know, and it shouldn't be personal. You know what I mean? This is, you know, this commission has never operated or functioned properly, ever, ever. Trust me when I tell you, ever. If I have to go, I think it's the basement of the Ritter Building where they have all the backlog of minutes and written out. I don't know where the heck they keep it over. It's downstairs here in cabinets, and have to read minutes from, you know, 2011 and 2005 and to the Trust Fund Commission. I can tell you right now, from what I seen, I saw a document that's online from 2014, 1 minute from 2014. It said nothing. Then 2017, nothing. It just said, oh, we had a fund meeting and there was an expenditure to the Worthy Poor Fund. How did they expend the Worthy Poor Fund according to that declaration to somebody? And they were talking about paying for a resident's roof, to fix a resident's roof on their house. But there was no information about, in the minutes about the declaration of the Worthy Poor Fund says, I don't even know if that's where the money went, because it never really, there's no minute saying, but there's an expenditure in 2017 for $2,700 from the Worthy Poor Fund. Who got that?
Not me.
Not me, I wasn't there. So, okay. All right. I'm gonna gloss over the proposed written policy because I want to make some adjustments now that we had that meeting. Richard, if that's okay with you, under new
fine.
business, I got to do some rewrites on that. We discussed some of it here today, and I just want to make sure that I rewrite things in there and set up something like town manager said. Trust Fund Commission has the authority that if we wanted to, and make sure people following us know that if you're not satisfied with the present direction and want to invest independently and work with the treasurer independently, you have every right to do that. And that should actually be written as part of policy. You know what I mean? That option is open, you know? Because maybe down the line that might work. Maybe we have more funds and money that we do better by ourselves, you know? Who knows? But at least something like that, small changes. So, well, I might as well go into old business. We still have a vacancy, just so everybody knows. We'd be very much interested for you to step forward. And again, this isn't always going to look like this, and actually it's getting cleaner. Would you feel like we're getting cleaner after today?
A lot of open issues in my mind were resolved.
Yep. So there. So, like I said, I kind of have a goal by November, the latest, to have everything, you know, wrapped up and start figuring out how that we can distribute funds appropriately and get that information out. I was thinking just as a brainstorm, because goals of the commission are in old business, this is just a brainstorm that we let people know in the town meeting booklet coming up for special town meeting what the trusts are that are part of the Trust Fund Commission and what they do. And, you know, they're open for people to be able to make application and figure out how we can create an application for that, or if one already exists. It looks like one already existed, but I haven't seen it. It says, person made an application to the Trust Fund Commission in the minutes. I haven't seen one. Follow up on the investigations and an update on the list of trust funds. You heard me say that we can actually probably go through the Attorney General to make some changes without having to go to court, unless obviously there's a dispute between the donor and the beneficiary to make some determinations on what these charities are, because they technically come under public charities, even though they have fallen into municipal organizations. They're still considered public charities, believe it or not, and they fall under the public charity law with the Attorney General's office. So I found that out a week ago. Still waiting on hearing from the town manager on my inquiry about the workers' compensation fund. And you heard that she didn't want to speak on that today, so she probably doesn't have an answer yet, but hopefully we'll get an answer on that fund being part of our pool. We don't have any beneficiaries here, or any comments from persons that oversee these funds. All right, upcoming meetings and events. I mentioned an event in my opening statement, September, October 2025. We have limited meetings this month. I don't think we're having another one this month, are we not?
Correct, not for the 25th.
That's correct.
Will not happen, it'll be
Yeah.
October 9th. will be the
And
next.
me too. So we're going to have an overlap. I might not be available, and you're not going to be available.
Okay.
So are we looking at October, our regular second week of October?
Yeah, it'll have to be that second week of October then.
Okay.
Which is what, the 9th,
And it-
23rd, I believe?
September, that would be October 9th.
Right,
Yeah.
yeah, October 9th would be the second.
Yeah, would be our regular scheduled second and
Okay.
fourth Thursday at our regular time, which would be 5 o'clock.
October 9th, 5 p.m., yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And I'm going to put the minutes ratification review. I don't know what happened with that. It like didn't appear in the drive file. I was looking for it.
Oh, I saw it in there today. Did
I,
not-
you,
did
I know you sent it to me again. I was like looking for it. I saw the thing. I said, oh yeah, I remember seeing it. And then all of a sudden it disappeared in the drive file. I don't know where it went. Is it there? Can you see it there now?
I did put it in there.
Huh?
Yeah. I did, unless I didn't, is it not shared with you? Or?
You might not have shared it. If it's in there, you got to hit the little guy on the right-hand side and sit there and say add to share. Like even though you put it in there, it might not be sharing to me.
Okay. I know I did upload it, but I emailed it to you as a separate file.
I know you did. I was like, because I remember when you sent me the email, I said, yeah, I'll check it later. Right? And then life got behind me. No, really? Some things in life got ahead of me. And I was like, I know most of the time when you write those, they're pretty thorough. And you usually tell me going, you have to add something into a section, or instead of just saying, oh, listen, the minutes are in, they're done, review, add what you need to, instead of going, the minutes are in, you have to add stuff. That's usually what you send me go. Meaning that if I give a long, conversation, usually.
Yeah.
Right
I don't
out.
think minutes should be transcripts, but they should.
They should highlight the
They
capitalized.
should highlight,
Yeah.
the major discussion points and whatever, so,
Right, that's how they're
So-
supposed to be written.
yeah.
But I didn't see that in here. I was like going, where are they? Minute meetings. June 26th. July 10th, August 14th.
That was the 14th was the ones.
I put in draft docs. That I put in there today. But it says August 14th docs. No, that's the same thing, August 27th, yeah? That's weird.
Yeah, the August 14 minutes were uploaded on the 27th.
Right.
Yeah.
So they were in here, did I miss them?
Yeah, I think they were there.
I don't, oh, you know what I was looking for? I was looking for a PDF. I guarantee I was looking for a
I know.
PDF, no, never mind.
I just
Yeah,
didn't know if
because,
you wanted
well,
to-
no, I just got yelled at by Ellen today. Because I sent the agenda in a Word document instead of a PDF. I was like, oops, do you know what I mean? And so she didn't get a chance to put it online until today, this afternoon. And just so people know, Mass General Laws is clear that the chairperson of the commission, board, committee is responsible for the posting of the agenda, not the town clerk. I can post the agenda in a conspicuous place outside of the meeting. I can tack it to the front door or a space specified by the town by ordinance, which I believe is the bulletin board, okay? But for the most part, that's the open meeting law. So sometimes if somebody sees an agenda not posted online by any board or commission, don't get angry. There's no, or upset. There's no law that says that online stuff is a courtesy, just like Zoom's a courtesy, unless the law changes. They do allow it now to be a rule, but you can't have your whole meeting on it, a lot of them. So all I'm saying is that I don't want anybody to get upset by that, so if they didn't see it. So it comes, that's open meeting law, 48 hours. I'm responsible for posting as the chairman of the committee, the commission, rather. So we'll leave it at that. So people are aware. All right. It looks like we can ask if there's any public comment from the public. Nope. No public comment from the public. I have nobody online. Do we have any public comment from the board?
No public comment?
We have no public comment from the board. I, myself, we are not planning on ratifying anything or voting today. Today was informational with a discussion, and a very fulfilling one, I'm sure. I would like to ask Richard if he would entertain me with a motion to adjourn.
I would entertain that motion as a second.
I would like to adjourn this meeting at 2:53 p.m. on September 11th, 2025. And I'd like to thank you all for joining us here at the Lunenburg Board of Commissioners of Trust Funds. Have a great afternoon.